Views and opinions of any of the guests of After Hours AM are not necessarily the views and opinions of After Hours AM, its hosts, its staff, or any of its affiliates.
Welcome to the After Hours program.
Are you ready?
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Now broadcasting live from the After Hours AM studio, Joel Sturgis and Eric Olsen.
And welcome to this edition of After Hours AM, everybody. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis, and I am currently flying solo, but that never stops the show. I am here because we have some paranormal news to get to, as well as talk about some of the things that are going on in the political landscape. And, you know, I wanted to get this off my chest. I guess it's a great opportunity because I'm by myself. One thing that neither Donald Trump nor Hillary has really, Clinton that is, has really tackled, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, of course, is a couple major issues, to me anyway, and I mean, to everybody, really. Number one is, of course, healthcare. I mean, Obamacare was a great step forward, but I have no idea why, to this day, we don't have universal healthcare. I mean, we're already taxed, some 40%, if you were to count everything in as American people. And instead of building schools in Afghanistan and Iraq, I think that money could be definitely put to better use if we built infrastructure for healthcare here. I mean, cover everybody through our tax bill. I know that's radical, and I know it's socialism to a lot of people. You know, I can already hear that. You know, hey, wait a minute, that's socialism. Yes, it is socialized medicine. It absolutely is. 110% socialized. But many countries have socialized medicine. In fact, America is one of the few that does not have socialized medicine as we speak. I mean, most of the industrialized countries do. I know England does, Canada does. Several of the European countries have proven not only is it doable and viable, but it flourishes. And I understand. I've heard the argument that healthcare would take forever to see a doctor. Like if we had universal health care, and then you would have to wait forever to see a doctor, which is not necessarily factually accurate, not the way that I hear it anyway. And I could be completely wrong. I mean, if you live in a country with a socialized medicine, you would know better than I would what is going on with that. But in my opinion, I think it would be a great step forward if we had socialized medicine, simply because everybody would be covered at that point. There would be none of this insurance company money grab, paying off congressmen, lobbying so heavy to get their laws passed. I mean, quite honestly, Obamacare was more or less really for the insurance companies more than it was for you and me. It ensured that everybody had to get health care. It didn't matter who you were. And if you didn't, you were fined. And I don't agree with the fine simply because it's only attacking the lowest rung of income. You're not hurting the millionaire. You're not hurting the upper middle class that can afford healthcare and usually have it included in their profession. But really, you're hurting the poorest amongst us. And I don't think that was ever in the spirit of Affordable Health Care Act, but that's exactly what has happened. The second thing that I don't agree with, of course, is the prison overcrowding. And I mean specifically for low-level drug offenders. There is absolutely no reason why you would go to jail for 20 years for possession of marijuana, in my opinion. I think that is just entirely too heavy-handed. I think it's wrong. I think that there should be more of a leaning towards rehabilitation instead of incarceration. And I've talked to several people about this, and of course there's some that agree with me, some that don't. Some say, throw away the key, lock them up, throw away the key. But therein lies the problem. Here we're stuck with over 3 million people currently incarcerated in the United States. And several people are really low-level, nonviolent offenders that really should not be in jail, but are, and they find themselves in jail. And instead of rehabilitation, there's incarceration, like I'd already said, and it seems that we're starting to lean towards the private prison system. And if the private prison system becomes the thing, the way that we are going to go, then that will be a horrible thing for our country, because the private prison system would offer no incentive to release people, to rehabilitate people, to get them back out on the street where they can be normal functioning human beings, in my opinion. I do believe that the war on drugs, and I know Eric would agree with me, and I know Eric is just joining me now, of course, but would absolutely agree with me, it has been an absolute failure, the war on drugs.
Good evening, Joel.
Good evening. I've been over here waxing philosophical about politics all by myself.
I know you have. You got a lot of good things to say. Yeah, I got some tech issues. I'm going to have to dig deeper into this because we can't have the beginning of shows. Anyway, yes, I do agree with you. We have vastly too high a number, and an absolute number, and too high a percentage of our population incarcerated. Let's look at what other countries are doing. We kind of laughed and we made an issue of it, and it seemed just it seemed obscene that the mass murderer of 77 and wounder of 200
exactly
people
12 years
in Norway only got 20-some years.
Not even. He got 12 years. 12. Remember, it's 12 years he got.
I guess because it was somehow, some way reduced.
Yeah, because both of our jaws hit the ground when we heard that.
It's astonishing. But we're way, way on the other side of it. It used to be South Africa had a higher percentage of the population incarcerated than we do. But even they don't anymore. We literally have the highest percentage in the world.
But you can...
Democracy for a melting pot.
Exactly.
For the beacon, for the shining beacon at the top of the world, that is pathetic. It's awful. We got to find better ways of handling people and of keeping them working within the system and pulling together with us. And frankly, we incarcerate people for too many crimes.
Well, we can thank
the war on drugs, man, failure.
We can thank the Reagan administration. Just say no. Stronger penalties for drugs.
Yeah, well, and the 3 strikes you're out.
And that did not help at all. The 3 strikes and you're out has been an absolute failure because, okay, it's just horrible because it created massive overcrowding. If you talk to anybody in the prison system, they'll tell you, man, we're stacking people up like cordwood. We have nowhere to put these people that don't even belong here.
Well, and it also, from the judicial side, it took any discretion away from judges, And, I mean, there's people who the 3rd strike, I mean, sure, it sounds bad and it sounds like they're incorrigible, but what if they started really young? And what about the background? And what if they really have changed their ways?
What
if
the
offenses were very, very minor? I mean, it's ridiculous to lock them up for the rest of their lives.
Well, what if they're 23 when they offended, and now today they're sitting in jail at 43, and they're a total different person? But because the minimum, the mandatory minimums will not allow them to be up for parole, that's travesty of justice is what that is.
Like everything, and I'm kind of always the voice of the gray, not the black and the white. Of course, there's 2 sides to this. We were reaching a crime epidemic back in the 70s. And
we were, absolutely.
It was an
100%
amazing,
agree.
terrible time. There was a lot of crime. You had crack. You had the crack explosion. People were just losing their minds, robbing, left and right, burglaries everywhere, lots and lots of problems. So something at the time anyway seemed like it had to be done.
Well,
and I'm also not, you hear so much. I mean, I do tend to lean more left than right on most things, though really ultimately I'm a centrist. But we've heard a lot of complaining about the Clintons and the fact that they put in the crime bill in the 90s. Well, I mean, it cleaned things up a lot. Sure,
it
you
did,
took a lot of
but
crime off the streets.
But you also got low-level offenders in prison where they became better criminals.
Exactly. You're right. I'm saying there's two sides to this.
We
got to try to find that middle road where we don't incarcerate people who shouldn't be incarcerated, even if they're, criminals or offenders of one kind or another. We have to do a better job of differentiating between the kinds of crime, number one, I think. And number two, our sentences just seem to be too long compared to the world.
Way too long. And of course, it's just ridiculous. I'm a firm believer, and I don't do marijuana personally, and that's a personal choice. I'm so surprised that here we are at 2016, and there hasn't been any legislation to legalize it on the federal level.
It is. You're right. It's crazy.
It's
got
been
all
proven.
These changes on the state and
Exactly.
local levels. And the federal government, as far as I know, other than Obama just sort of generally saying, okay, this is not a priority, and I deem that this is not a priority for my Justice Department. But that's just him.
Yeah.
That's his administration. That could change. There's no law about it.
I believe that if we're put to a popular vote, it would pass to legalize it.
Oh, at this point, sure.
You-
or at
you
least
know.
to decriminalize.
Exactly.
Come on.
Exactly. Decriminalize, not legalize, but make it so you don't go to jail for 20 years if you have a dime bag.
It's crazy. Now that we have literally an industry growing up around marijuana,
Yes.
beginning with Colorado and California and up and down the West Coast, and it's popping up here and there. And of course, they came through the medical marijuana door, which was genius. That was a genius move because it opened up the door, it opened it up a crack, and now it's we're getting pretty close to it being open wide. But like you say, no change so far as actual law goes to the federal laws. And as far as I know, I don't think it's been changed. I think it's still classified with the very worst drugs, the hardest of drugs, narcotics, heroin, cocaine, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
That just seems asinine to me. It's craziness. It's a waste.
Overkill.
It's a waste of taxpayers' money, to be completely honest. But you know what? Let's veer away from that and let's get to what everyone came for. America's Most Haunted Headlines.
Yes. And man, there's some really, really cool ones. Been lots of great, weird, unusual stuff going on this week. Lots of movies, lots of TV shows. And of course, we had Comic-Con last week.
Yeah, that really is bigger than I realized. I mean, it's really grown huge.
Deal. Hundreds of thousands of people attend.
Isn't that just amazing? I mean, I remember when it was hardly anybody and they could barely get any media coverage.
It's been around, and every year it grows a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more. And really, I think the internet era is what has really, really pumped it up. Yeah. And given it that level of exposure, and you've had all these other cons come into being, but that is still the San Diego International. That is still the original, by far the biggest. Basically, the entire entertainment industry shows up.
There's been so many spin-offs now. I mean, every major city pretty much has their version of Comic-Con now. And now, of course, the horror cons are really taking off as well, and so that's good to see as well. I mean, during Halloween time.
And the Paracon.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I'm glad that these niche audiences are making their voice heard because it's way more popular than anyone even realized, to be honest with you. I mean, when I was a kid, comic books were, Spider-Man and Batman, and they're just books. Now people live and breathe these characters, especially with Walking Dead being so hot.
Exactly. That was an enormous breakthrough kind of after the fact. I know it was big at the time when it first came out.
Sure.
It was very popular, and that's why it became a show. But obviously, once the show exploded and became the most popular show on TV, I mean, there are so many comic-related shows and or movies now. It's amazing. There's plenty of them out there I didn't even know
Yeah, it's amazing.
Preacher came from a comic.
Yeah.
I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and on.
Hollywood is
there
borrowed.
May be more shows that are affiliated with comics these days than aren't.
Oh,
But
exactly. Well, Hollywood is taking notice that's what people want to watch.
Fantasy, horror, sci-fi, it's all related, it's all tied in, and it's huge business. All right, let's start off with some news here. All right, we love astronomy. I love this story is so cool. We are both audio oriented. I'm sure so many of our listeners are as well.
Sure.
In the next flight to Mars, which goes in 2020, so not too far off, 2020, for the first time they're sending an actual microphone to Mars.
Now that'd be really cool.
And they're going to put it on a new rover, and we get to listen to the planet.
Watch, we hear little voices on the other end.
Hey, what's that thing?
Yeah, what's that thing? That whole thing, that'd be great.
Right over my foot! Right over my foot!
I think that's great. I'm glad that they're taking that next step now and getting audio with the video. Even if we don't hear anything but the winds, it will give us some idea of how violent their atmosphere is.
That's what they're primarily listening for. That's what they think they're going to hear primarily, of course, is the wind. And, it'll be really, really interesting. And who knows what they're going to pick up.
You just never know.
In this day and age, right, in this world with all the communication abilities and the electronics and the internet and the communication revolution, you start to get the sense that the world is just kind of all the same.
Sure.
And people kind of think the same way, and we're all pretty modern. Well, check this out. On the island of East Java in Indonesia, there's an enormous... Oh, and we haven't told people where to go. Go to America's Most Haunted on Twitter, @AMHaunted, so you can see the pictures and click
That's
on
right.
the links.
Go take a peek at our Java.
Because, man, we got some images. So check out this volcano. It's a huge volcano. It's a new volcano, and new volcanoes tend to be dangerous, apparently. It's a relatively new one, and looks amazing. So the villagers who live at the bottom of this huge mountain that's a live volcano, they trek, including the kids, all the way up to the top of the volcano.
Wow, that's
with food, and they make offerings tossing them into the volcano in 2016.
Whenever anyone says volcano, I always think of Tom Hanks movie, Joe and the volcano versus the volcano.
Exactly.
Yep. Or chucking virgins into them.
Exactly. Well, remember there was a scene in one of the Madagascars. I don't think it was the first one. Maybe it was. I can't remember. It's been a while. And they're doing just that. They're trying to appease the volcano. So they got to toss someone in there, and I think it's the giraffe. Remember the David Schwimmer?
Oh yeah. Great shows. I love the Madagascar shows because of course I have a 2-year-old here at home, and so she's all about Madagascar. And I enjoy the humor they put in there for the adults as well. That kind of sneaks right by the kids.
They were some good movies, and I enjoyed the Penguins of Madagascar cartoon series on Nickelodeon. All right, moving along. Lists. Boy, everyone loves lists. There is a really odd but very interesting, I've only even heard of, I would guess, 2/3 of these movies. There's a list, and a lot of them are foreign and just very small indie movies. They've picked on the playlist, which is a site I was not familiar with previously. They picked the 50 best sci-fi movies of the 21st
Oh, and
century.
there's so many of them. I mean, there's just so many to choose from. That
It's
list,
a great list.
Yeah, I was going to say that list
I'm
would
not
be great.
really the order of the list. I got problems with. Like, there's some toward the bottom. I'd move way up to the top, and vice versa.
Sure.
But looking at it as 50, it's a fascinating list. It's very well written. It's very passionate.
Yeah.
If you're interested in film, you're interested in sci-fi, go check that out.
What's number one, man? Be the spoiler. Tell us what the number one movie was. Do you know?
I do. Children of Men.
Really? That was the number one sci-fi movie of all time. Interesting.
That's what they picked
I
over the
wouldn't-
last 16 years.
See, well, yeah, true. I guess I would lean
I
more
wouldn't have
towards
picked
The
that.
Martian. You know what I mean? Or something like that, because I thought The Martian was very well done with Matt Damon.
It was great. I agree.
You know,
there were a lot of movies, and they're pretty broad in their interpretation of sci-fi. So there's horror films,
Sure.
there's fantasy, whatnot. Anyway, it's a really interesting list, if for no other reason to pick up on a bunch of films that I, at least, had never even heard of, let alone seen.
Yeah, check them out.
50, maybe of these 50, maybe I've seen half.
Yeah, well, that's a lot then, because I'm looking at the list, and I've probably seen about maybe a quarter of them, to be honest with you, or have stuck with me anyway of seeing them. I'm sure I've seen more, but you know how that goes. They go in one side of the head and out the other, and you forgot you even saw it, to be honest with you. But that being said, go check it out. You can click on that link, of course, over here at Twitter at AM Haunted. Search that out and follow us. That we can be a part of it each and every week. We have a lot of fun with these headlines, and they're only getting stranger as we go.
Yeah, now check out the images for this. There is a new musical work which literally blends astrophysics and opera. Now, I'm not a huge opera guy, but I listened to it, and it's amazing.
Is that
stuff.
coming to us from the Smithsonian Magazine by chance?
It is.
It is. Okay. I thought I saw something when I clicked the link on it. That is kind of cool that they're trying to blend the two. It's the original space opera.
It really, exactly. It's called Hubble Cantata, and it's fascinating stuff. I'm not like a super big opera fan. Don't hate it, but it's not my favorite. But it's very interesting, and the music is written using information, using physics drawn from space.
Hey, Eric, did you ever go see the laser show of Pink Floyd The Wall?
Oh, yeah.
Did ya? Yeah, come on.
I used to go to laser shows all
That was pretty cool. No, that was pretty cool. I mean, if you get past the smoke that was in the atmosphere.
Love it.
You know.
I used to go to the planetarium.
Exactly.
The laser show.
You don't see planetariums anymore. Not like you used to.
No, I think it's another victim of the internet.
That sucks because, man, I remember going to go see Pink Floyd The Wall at the planetarium, and of course, great songs, like Run Like Hell, Comfortably Numb, all those great tunes with laser. Wow, it's an experience you'll never forget. If you get a chance to go to it, guys.
I'm not sure why the internet would impact planetariums, because you don't have that immersive environment.
No, the lights go down, you look up, and it's like...
I love that.
It's a really cool thing. And if you guys do have a planetarium in your neighborhood, which I'm fortunate enough to have one, definitely go and give them some business, because that's the only way we can keep them around.
Absolutely right. All right, let's switch over to horror movies. This one looks real creepy. It's a revenge slasher film.
She's a jilted lover.
Tonight she comes. Everyone else will die.
I think I saw that movie once, but it's not appropriate for radio.
No. Right, I get what you're saying. So this one, as far as I can tell, we can click over and see the trailer. But apparently this woman, for whatever reason, young woman, is selected out and somehow, quote-unquote, sacrificed.
Oh, boy, here we go.
And then she's buried.
No.
And she's back the next day.
Wow, did you know...
To seek her revenge.
A little fun tidbit. Do you know why they call it dead ringer?
No.
Way back when... I'm talking way back when, back before we had medical science, when they buried somebody, they would drop a string down with them with a bell up top. And if you're still alive and you're buried alive, you'd ring this bell. And you would hope like hell that the graveyard keeper, the caretaker, could get you out.
In time.
Wow. Yep, that's where that came around, dead ringer.
Very cool.
Yeah, man.
I did not know that. Well, that used to happen pretty often.
It did. It was an epidemic.
People were in comas. They were just simply knocked out.
Anaphylactic shock sometimes that cause it. If you're allergic to something, we didn't know about allergies back then.
Exactly. And their breathing wasn't completely stopped.
Yeah, just
very shallow.
Yep. Yeah, that happened more than once, and I was reading an article about that. It was one of those, where did it come from articles.
Yeah.
A dead ringer was because they would place a bell above ground and run a string, of course, and if you were still alive and you woke up, you could ring it, and gosh, you hope that the caretaker heard you.
I would hope so, yes. Yeah, you hear about these horror stories, and if they're true or not, I'm sure there's some truth somewhere where, eventually they, for whatever reason, they dig someone up and they find their fingernails.
I know, right?
Scratch marks.
I don't want to be.
Inside
That is
of the
exactly.
casket.
That's,
Their eyes are wide.
Oh, you're freaking me out right now. That's why I'm being cremated.
You'd hate to wake up under those.
I can't handle the thought of just laying there rotting away.
It's kind of a helpless position. That's
It
for sure.
really is. I'd rather. I mean, it's not for everybody, of course, cremation, but for me, that's the route I want to go.
I don't blame you. I don't have any particularly strong position yet. I haven't thought that much about it. I guess I'm putting it off. All right, movie-wise, more horror movie news. Lights Out, which was a remake of a short, and it just produced. One of the producers was James Wan, who's really on a roll. This
he
guy,
is.
Right? So it just came out last weekend. Already a huge hit. They've already made back 10 times the cost of it in one weekend.
Wow.
And 3 days after it came out, they've already announced there will be a sequel.
Well, let us enjoy what's there now. You don't need to go,
Too late.
there's going to be a sequel now. You know what? Let us all see it first. I mean, it sounds cool. It sounds like a nice little jump scare deal.
I saw the did you see the short that it's based on?
Yeah, isn't that creepy as hell?
It was creepy.
It was creepy, man. The short was even creepy. So I have not seen this film yet, but I do plan to see it. I'll wait till it comes on DVD, and then I'll watch it. Because, quite honestly, I go to the theater quite a bit. And there's nothing like sitting in your living room, in your comfy wear, watching a movie on the great 60-inch TV, without kids texting, without all the distractions. You can pause it if you have to go to the bathroom. I mean, my gosh, DVD and Blu-ray has made my movie-going experience so much better, man. I don't know about you, but I like it much better.
I love home theater. You're talking about home theater.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah, I absolutely love it, love it, love it. I got to tell you, though, have I ever told you how big our main TV is?
No.
80 inches.
Holy crap, man. I thought me having a 65-inch was overkill. You have an 80-inch television? What do you do with, you know what they would say? You're compensating. You're compensating, my friend.
Yeah, I don't own a truck, though, so it's okay.
Well, that is true. You don't have a big truck with tires on it. Big tires.
No, I just, there was that era there. We've already had that probably 4 or 5 years.
Well, they're so cheap now.
It's not like it's new, and they just kept getting bigger, and they kept getting clearer, right? They kept getting higher and higher definition, and this one was an amazing deal. I think we got it through Amazon, and it was just one of those like one-day things.
Black Friday, you get it for $2.
Well, it wasn't quite that, but it was an amazing deal. And God, that thing has held up because we have that on one member of the family or another have that TV on.
Sure.
Certainly 12, plus hours every day.
Yeah. Well, now
I've only replaced the bulb once.
Oh,
and
that's
that was
not
bad. $5.
Oh, was it LCD TV?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
It's kind of a hybrid. It's too complicated. But
I know. Here we go. We're talking technical jargon right here on the air. But if you do have an 80-inch TV, kudos to you.
I do, and I got a real nice sound system hooked up to it.
Sure,
nice
listen
Blu-ray
to you.
player. So everything you're saying, I agree with.
Do you ever just stop and hug and kiss it and say, I love you?
If I could get my arms around it, but it's just too big.
Yeah, we have the 1,000-watt Sony 7.1 surround sound with the big TV, and
Good for you.
and that makes all the difference. And of course, you don't need a big TV to enjoy the films anymore, though. Heck, I see more people watching them on their smartphones than I do now.
I know.
Actually watching.
Nuts. Why would they want to get smaller?
I have no idea. I have no idea why. But, man, we got a great show on tap for everyone that's just tuning in. We're going to have Andrea Mesich on the show. And she's an author. Well, not only just an author, but she's a paranormal investigator. And she also wrote a great book, that's been out there. And I've been wanting to talk to her. Ghost in the Coal Cellar was the book that she'd authored, but she's also been a paranormal investigator for the last 12 years. So she's got a lot of great insight on the paranormal. And we'll be able to talk a little bit of paranormal shop with her. And that'll be, of course, at the top of the next hour.
She's also a demonologist.
A demonologist. Yes, demonology, man. That freaks me out anyway, so it'll be a lot of fun to talk about that as well. That being said, we got to get out of here, and when we come back, we're got Miss Kirsten Klang joining us. She'll be reading your emails that you submitted to us. So don't go anywhere. Be right back right after this.
Ideas, work, and creativity that make it your yard. At Ace, we're here to help with hoses and sprinklers to nurture growth, gardening tools for the shape of good things to come, even the right fertilizer and bug killers to make the grass a little greener. You'll find it all now at Ace, your place, with everything you need for your yard, plus helpful advice, almost like we're right there. Ace,
the helpful place.
Anavar Media LCC is a dedicated team of professionals committed to helping business development scale and protect their websites, mobile applications, enterprise software solutions in the Northeast Ohio area. Locally owned since 2012, our client-centered values truly sets Anavar apart. Contact us today to learn how you can get 25% off your first project. Call them at 234-380-4852. Again, that's 234-380-4852, or visit them at www.anavar.com. Again, that's www.anavar.com. Author Steve Asher brings us Hauntings of Trilogy. Steve's first book, Hauntings of the Kentucky State Penitentiary. This first installment of the trilogy tells us the tale of the Kentucky State Penitentiary and why it's so haunted. With every turn of the page will be something new and terrifying. Pick up Steve's new book, Hauntings of the Kentucky State Penitentiary, at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and all better bookstores everywhere.
You've seen all kinds of movies, but you've never seen anything like the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
They're probably foreigners with ways different than our own.
I'm just a sweet transvestite.
See the Rocky Horror Picture Show. A different set of jaws. Rated R.
Do you have a question for our guest tonight? Don't feel like calling the show? Not a problem. Email those questions to afterhoursam@gmail.com. Again, that's afterhoursam@gmail.com. And welcome back to After Hours AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis, and right along with me is Mr. Eric Olsen. I'm assuming he's still there. I don't know if I lost him somewhere in the cosmos, but...
Now we can hear you.
Okay, now y'all can hear me. Oh, right. Well, that's good.
You got like a little mouse.
Oh, well,
you went drifting off.
Well, that's all right. I like to drift once in a while, but let me go ahead and fire up this. It is time now for your emails submitted by you, listened to by the talked to and listened to and read to us by the former swimsuit model, Kirsten Klang. Kirsten, you have the emails. Scare the hell out of us. All right, let's do this. Scare us.
Now you're back.
I never left.
Well, physically, I'm sure that's true.
I never left. I've been here talking to this microphone.
We heard you
talking about
get very far away,
up in the distance.
Talking about how great Kirsten is, and
all right, Kirsten, get on it, babe.
How she was a former swimsuit model, and
get on it, you swimsuit model, you.
Are we live now?
Well, yes, I would assume so. Yes. Yep, we're live. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Well, okay. Without our intro, I guess we could do our oohs and ahs.
I did play your intro.
Right into some stories here we got from our wonderful listeners. We had we're overwhelmed with the stories. I know that I am. That they're just fabulous. And you guys are really doing a great job.
Aren't they? Aren't they? I'm so proud of them.
Yes, they're so sweet. And you guys are just awesome. Keep it up. Keep sending them in. We want to hear them.
We love you.
Anyway, I've got one here from Kitty from Denver, Colorado.
All right.
She says, "Hi, Joel and Eric. I love the show. Last week, my husband and our 2 teenage children were sitting in the family room when a softball-sized white light floated midair in the kitchen. It then arced across the room and disappeared into the wall by the fireplace.
Interesting.
For a few pregnant minutes, we all sat there stunned and unsure of what to say. My teenage daughter finally said, guys, did you just see that? We all had, of course, but dismissed it as ball lightning. A few months later, I was laying in bed reading alone when I heard a male voice clear its throat, as if trying to get my attention.
Mm-hmm.
I looked up from my book, expecting to see my husband, but no one was there. This voice returned several nights afterwards. I would either hear throat clearing or someone speaking in low volume. Yeah.
Sorry, it's a little late with the sound effect. Sorry.
Finally, a few nights ago, early March, the entire family and I were once again gathered in the family room watching TV when something else happened.
On their 9,000
only described it as a streak of whitish blue light that flew through the air at knee level. An audible pop was heard as it vanished to the sofa. I know it's not my brain or faulty eyesight. Everyone in the room simultaneously said, "Did you see that?" We all simultaneously described the light size, shape, color, and location, as well as the cracking note. What gives? And what does give? I don't know. I've never run into a cracking ball of light or anything that described that myself. Have you, Joel?
Oh, the ball light that just kind of floats around and having a cracking noise, like electrical noise after it's kind of gone. You know,
electrical thing.
Well, you know, I have. Have you ever heard of ball lightning?
Yes, I have, actually.
There is a possibility it could have been. I mean, it's a very rare phenomena, but it has been proven to. Now, where was he writing from, or she?
Denver, Colorado.
Okay, so they're at higher altitude. There is a chance that ball lightning could be to blame. I mean, you know, there's lots of cases of it, but I mean, it's odd and it's rare, but it's just as rare as seeing a spirit orb. I would probably, without knowing more of the circumstances in the house and what's going on and everything else, I would almost wager to guess. I would start a ball lightning simply because of the crackle afterwards and a smell. I'll guarantee you, I don't know if they said it or not, but there was probably a smell of Freon. You know, some type of electrical smell afterwards.
Yeah, that ozone.
Yeah, exactly. So I would definitely start there and investigate that, and then go from there. I mean, try to do the natural before we do the supernatural.
Oh, and I could ask my fiance for you, since he was actually struck by lightning.
Oh, that would suck. I've never been struck by lightning.
When he was a child. Yeah.
Oh.
Got the scar to prove it. Went right out of his arm.
Wow, does that explain a lot?
I don't know. You know, he's got a white spot on his hair. I don't know. They don't know if that's from the...
So he runs around with a quarter-sized white spot on his head everywhere? Hey, look at my spot! Yeah. Don't touch it!
Well, his whole family was actually struck. They were in a metal camper.
So they all got struck at once? Oh my God, I don't mean to laugh at this.
He got blown right out the window. He was only 5, and he got blown right out the window into a puddle.
Man, into a puddle to make matters worse?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Somebody went to run and grab him, and the electricity was still sort of circulating around him, and it blew him right off. They couldn't pick him up right away.
Wow. Damn. Eric, have you ever been hit by lightning?
No, I know that the
No, he
ozone
says.
smell you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
I have never been hit by lightning. I don't wish to be hit by lightning.
No.
But I have known people. We've talked to people.
Yes, we have.
On the air who keep getting hit over and over again.
Over and over.
Yes.
Following them around. No, I was going to say, I have a white spot on my head, too, but it's called my scalp.
And it grows bigger every year.
It does, though I've slowed it down.
You've tried La Rogaine, you know.
30 years of Rogaine.
30 years of Rogaine. They can send you Christmas
maybe 20
cards.
bucks. Long time. Who knows? It's marinating my brain by now. Who knows?
When you have to buy it in industrial size, it's time to give it up, right? Right, guys?
Well, exactly. I don't use Rogaine. I mean, I'm bald naturally, so, and I embrace it. Gosh darn it. And I look good bald. I look good bald.
I don't look good bald. I don't think so. Anymore.
I don't either.
Well, you guys might not, but
thing, yeah.
you know, you guys might not, but you know, I have been told several times that bald is beautiful.
Yeah,
well, of course
some ladies really dig it. Yep.
Some of them do. Some of them do. Evidently, I married a lady that digs the baldness, so you know, I've got that going for me.
That is a big plus.
Yeah, that is a huge plus.
Go further into that.
I, however, did not.
Yes.
Well, I got another story for you guys.
Cool, lay it on us.
Whip it.
Joy Luttrell from Elmer, Louisiana.
Elmer, Louisiana.
Yes, and then died in the family. She says, my father passed away in late August 2008 during 2 hurricanes here in Louisiana.
Wow.
In the spring of 2009, my sister, who inherited the bulk of his estate, inquired as to what I would prefer, money or something else. I told her I wanted a place to live that I could call my own. So she decided to invest the money she put aside for me and my kids toward building a house on some land she purchased. This land is located on a dead-end road on a very rural part of Louisiana. When I say dead-end, I mean it.
Just you and the gators.
Actually ends in a cemetery.
Oh, ends at a cemetery.
My favorite. Yes, that's
I like the dead end.
Yeah, the dead-end road. Just me, the gators, and the corpses.
Moving into the neighborhood for me. The house construction was begun in May of 2009, with construction finishing in November of the same year. During construction, my brother-in-law and sister would sometimes hear people talking just out of earshot.
Wow.
And hear somebody approaching on foot. A house with no sides is easy enough to look for the approaching person, and every time this happens, no one is there. They told me about their experiences and were confused, but not scared, jokingly saying that the house was haunted even before it was built. When I moved into the new home, I didn't feel any spooky feelings of any sort. I was just proud that my family built me a beautiful home for me and my child. So when I had my first experience, I was somewhat surprised, but not scared. For a while, I was in the shower that I heard a sudden intake of breath from the other side of the shower door. I was alone in the house at the time. The next experience I had was upon coming home from work, and I unlocked the door, heard what sounded like a conversation taking place in my bedroom. As soon as I stepped inside the house,
That's
I don't know the radio, the television was shut off at the time. Sometimes I hear what could be described as throat clearing just before I go.
Another one of the throat clearing. Come on, what is it? They all got phlegm problems?
I don't know.
I mean, come on.
Nothing has been moved, and I haven't been touched.
Well,
I know there have been Indian...
Not for a lack of trying, I haven't been touched. Sorry. Not for a lack of trying.
Up, Joel.
Sorry, I was going to say, I haven't been touched, not for a lack of trying. That's what I thought was going to be next in there. Damn ghosts, they don't put up or nothing.
Eve in 2009.
Wow.
A friend was over visiting for the holiday, and she asked me and my daughter to sit down by saying, "Everyone sit for a picture." The photos she took on her digital camera came out looking weird, kind of like creatures were sitting on me and my daughter's lap.
Oh.
Note that there had been a funeral that day. The occurrences are random. and haven't harmed me and my daughter in any way. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
They're friendly.
Well, sure. I mean, it's,
clearing, you know.
and they won't touch her, so she's angry.
Yeah, well,
you know,
you don't want a bunch of gropey ghosts.
Well, who wants a gropey
ghost? Hot,
ghost?
he'd be breathing in the shower, probably.
True. You know, you start letting them grope you. Where does it end?
I mean, you want to make ghosts friends, but you know, it gets a little too close. You know, next thing you know, there's a bad breakup, and it's just not good.
You know, bad breakups, especially with the spectral kind, are never good. They just don't seem to ever want to leave.
No.
You know, they just want to hang around, you know, bother you, go at the weirdest times. You know, so anyhow.
That's a new category.
It is.
Yeah.
Phlegm ghosts.
Yeah.
Well, we have the ghosts that we do want around, and those are the spirits of our beloved pets. If they can make it. And my next one is from...
Not my dog. I don't want my pet around. He pees in the rug. I'm sorry. I don't want my dog around. He pees in the rug, so, you know.
Oh. Well, after they're ghosts, you know, you don't feel it anymore. It's all good. Anyway, we got one from Jake from Belleville, Illinois. And he said, first of all, the house I bought about a year ago was renovated shortly before I bought it. It was built in the 40s, and without checking records, I know the woman who lived here before me was here most of the time before she passed. My neighbor across the alley estimated she was about 35 years old. I noticed upon moving in that there were too many noises in the house for it to be just settling. Some could be from the new ducts in the HVAC system expanding and contracting with the temperature, but that didn't explain the abundance of thumping sounds, like something was dropped on the hardwood floor.
Oh.
I never felt a real presence and definitely no threat, but I knew something was odd. One morning while stretching, I saw a cat in my bedroom doorway.
I was doing yoga.
But on my double take, there was nothing. I don't own a cat, but I most definitely saw one. That did explain the thump sounds I heard, like a cat jumping off the counter. It was not there, but I saw. Now when I hear certain bumps, when it's quiet, I can tell where my spectral friend is hidden. But
sure.
I have yet to see him again.
You know, next thing you know, you're going to have to get cat litter again and, you know, get a spray bottle.
It's hard to find ghost cats.
Well, it really is. I mean, that's I unfortunately or fortunately, depending upon who you own, I own a couple cats, and my wife loves them. But I'll tell you what, I'm not a cat guy. You know what I mean? They just do some icky, disgusting things I'm just not too cool with. You know, number one is the hairball puking. I can live without the hairball puking. Number two is they feel this insatiable need to bring their kills back with them, like field mice and stuff. Like, oh, look at me, look what I got. I don't want it, all right? I don't want your damn... I know. Cats are just an acquired taste, to be honest with you. I mean, not that I hate cats. I like cats as much as the next guy, I guess. But they do have some weird habits. You know, I know Eric, he owns a cat named Weenus. And that's kind of... You do.
Absolutely.
We've discussed Weenus several times on the show.
Weenus, the cat. He's sitting right next to me.
He's Weenus.
Weenus?
He looks like a pea...
Out, all asleep on the floor. I'm jumping up and down, waving my hands in front of him. He is passed. He is zonked.
Wow, he's done, huh? He's a tired Weenus.
He's Weenused out. Yep. We've discussed that tale before.
Is he a fuzzy Weenus? Or is he one of those fair ones?
He is a orange fuzzy ween.
Does he believe in Brazilians, I think is what she's asking.
He's an orange fuzzy one.
Well, there's nothing wrong with an orange fuzzy weenus. All right, then. You know, cat. Well, anyhow, having a spectral cat would be almost more annoying than having a real cat. Because, you know, spray bottles out the window. Can't do that.
You can't kick them.
You can't kick them.
No.
You can't punt them like it's fourth down. You know?
You don't get that satisfaction of seeing them flying across the room, bouncing off the wall.
No.
Jeez, you sure are rough on your weenus.
I can be tough on the weenus. It can happen. We also have a Marley and a Normie.
You have a Normie, Marley, and a Weenus. Okay. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Well, that sounds like a real happy cat family there.
That's a great affirmative.
Makes you want to break into song.
Yeah.
We are family.
That should be a song. Sorry,
And I'll tell you what, they are all odd in their own way.
Well, I don't think I've met a normal cat. I don't think, not yet.
Not really.
Are these all cats? All three?
Yeah, those are 3 cats. Yes, my
Oh,
wife
3 of them.
my
Okay.
wife and kids are big cat freaks.
Oh, you know you are too. You love it. You love petting your weenus.
I like Weenus. Weenus is my bud. He's been around a long time. My older son, when he was just going into high school, he moved over here from his mom's. He had been going to middle school at his mom's, and he decided to go to high school over here, which of course made me happy and made her real mad. And so we had good old Christopher was standing at the bus stop, and it was winter, and this little teeny, very, very skinny, poor little shivering little creature nuzzled up to him at the bus stop, and oh boy, that was
the end of that one.
That was Weenus. That was Weenus.
Here you go. You gotta watch those cuddly weenuses. But anyhow, that being said, you got any more for us, Kirsten?
I do have a little short one left.
Cool.
I have one, and this is for you guys on your the children, the black-eyed children you
Ooh.
This one's from Crystal Street of Colgate, Oklahoma. She says, when I worked in a certain hospital, I was on night shift in the ICU. I had to go from the second floor to the third. Well, I was already dealing with a haunted elevator. I don't know. She didn't go on to explain that.
Love it, an elevator. Yeah. Ups and downs.
So I got on another. I happened to be once too, by the way. So I got on another elevator, and I was going to go up. Normally, I don't pay attention to my surroundings in the hospital because I was typically alone at night, except for a few stragglers. So it was really strange when 2 little girls got in the elevator with me. They were all by themselves after midnight.
Uh-oh. No good could come after midnight.
Their eyes were pitch black.
No.
I said, oh, look, my floor. And I got off the elevator. I took the stairs instead.
That's the
Look,
story.
Haley's Comet.
Hey, look! What's that up there? I'm out of here.
Oh,
Wow.
boy, was it time.
I would have, I would have flashed selfies with him. I would have stopped. I would have got the phone out and be like, "Hey,
Look at the eyes.
do you mind? Come on, let's do this." And I would have flashed
Try to get them on the
selfies.
show.
Yes, make a video, of their eyes.
Oh, you children with oddly ebony colored eyes. Would you like to be on the radio?
Black eyes matter. Exactly. Yes,
Black eyes matter. Oh, I love that, Joel. That's the best one of the year. Black eyes matter.
They do. If they got black eyes, they definitely matter because they're not right. And if they say, we just want to use your phone, let us in. We'd like you. Let's be friends. Run away, but first snap some selfies first to prove it. Exactly. Let us in. Let us in to party with you, please. But Kirsten, if that happens to you, you have to snap some selfies
For
first.
the love of God, use the electronics available to you.
Exactly.
Right.
This is 2016.
Because every
There should be
story.
at least one shot of a child with said black eye.
Exactly.
I mean, at this point.
It's astonishing to me. And yet, conversely, you keep hearing reports about them. And I know there's a new book out with Nick Redfern.
Sure.
He's got a book about black-eyed women.
Well, I won't go into that, but anyhow.
Well, that's kind of hot, right?
Sure, I guess under certain circumstances. Hubba, black-eyed women. But you're right, guys, Eric and Kirsten, you're both absolutely correct. This is 2016. We all have smartphones. We all have phones, have cameras on them. If they're at your door saying, let us in, open it up really quick, take a selfie, and run away. That's all you got to do. I mean, or let them in. For better yet, have the video rolling. Let them in. Let's see what happens. Maybe they just want to, have a snack and hang out, and watch some TV.
I heard a lot of them like to square dance.
I did hear they're dancing fools. The last one I heard.
Clogging. They'll start clogging on your floor.
Well, those are only the Dutch ones. That's only the Dutch black-eyed children.
Look at those black-eyed kids. And, they call them black-eyed kids in the UK because they have to be different. So they're BEKs over there.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we got.
Over
yes, we got to do the BEK thing. But yes,
There's no adults over there. There's
no, I'm sorry. They're black-eyed kids here. They're black-eyed children there. I reversed it exactly.
Okay.
That's
So
the way my brain works.
They have to be a little more prim and proper over there and call them children.
Yes,
black-eyed children are at my door.
We have the Becks, and they have the Bests over there. But anyway, nonetheless, it's weird because, I did interview back in the original America's Most Haunted radio show days. We did interview Brian Bethel, who is literally the originator.
The guy that made them all up.
Her experience, right, down in Texas, I think it was.
Yep.
And I mean, he ran through the whole thing. It was an amazing, just compelling story. I never, for 1 second, doubted the veracity of it. I mean, he couldn't have sounded more sincere and lots of detail. And the guy's a journalist. He's a newspaper editor. So, I mean, there's got to be something going on there. But yeah, why never?
Sure.
Pictures? The only pictures you ever see are just regular pictures that people have poked the eyes out of.
Yeah, I know. The black-eyed kid thing, I get lots of emails just like you guys do and lots of stories coming in that I had these black-eyed kids at my door and I didn't know what to do. You take a freaking picture of them is what you do. All right, you get some photographic evidence and become cha-ching a millionaire. All right, I don't know.
Right.
Maybe let them in.
Tackle them. They're kids.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a new thing out there.
About the face and head.
There's a new thing called a taser. Tase them. Tase those little black-eyed children. I don't know.
Hey, these are contacts. I just got them to play Pokemon
Well, then you
Go.
should be... Yeah. Oh, my God. Don't even get me started on Pokemon Go. I watched a moron step into traffic playing that game. And it's like, oh, really? You're going to go in the middle of an interstate searching for a Pokemon.
Well, your next guest tonight is a avid Pokemon Go
Well,
player,
we'll give her a pass on that. We'll give her a pass on that, of course, but we won't bust her chops too hard.
The Pokemon Go, this is just since last week, because we've talked about it already a couple times. We're driving right in the middle of Aurora, medium-sized town, suburban Northeast Ohio, right?
Sure.
We're driving along. My daughter, 16-year-old daughter, who plays it, but it's a social thing. They're all doing it right now. I think she's already out. Actually, I think it's already come and gone with her. Anyway, we're in the car. All of a sudden, I got to slam on the brakes. This is right in the middle of town, right in the middle of the day, as 3 kids on bikes go whipping right past me, right in front of me, not paying the slightest attention to me in a car. Driving on the road, looking at their phones, obviously Pokemon going, and I almost killed them.
Now, then you would have been part of the top news stories. This just in. Man murders, hits. Let's not say murder. That's too tough.
Intentionally. Yes,
he hits 3 youths
slammed on my brakes,
playing Pokemon.
Trying to avoid grievous harm and bodily damage.
Wow,
but
yeah.
The point is, pay attention, people.
You know what? I will not be surprised.
Take your arm at him.
I did. Get
darn
off my lawn, you kid.
I'm waiting. Yeah, get out of here, you whippersnappers. I'm waiting to get that email saying, I saw black-eyed children, and they were playing Pokemon Go. They asked they'd come in and get the Pokemon.
That's next.
That is next, man.
Playing it.
That is next on the horizon.
And then there'll be protesters when they get arrested. Protesters saying, Black Eyes Matter! Black Eyes Matter!
Yes, and they will all have their cell phones out looking for Pokemon. But anyhow, what's going on, Kirsten, before you leave us? What's going on over at Mystical, Minnesota? Anything cool and exciting we should be aware of?
Well, always something exciting going on at Mystical, Minnesota. Paranormal. Take a look. Hop on Facebook. We actually have some pretty interesting stuff. I've gotten to a point where I am having people count how many things they see, how many spirits they think they see in my photos.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little contest. And
well,
some people are very, very
Kirsten,
good at it, and other people not so much.
I'll tell you, this week, you had one earlier in the week. Usually I'm fairly skeptical just because I've seen so many pictures.
Sure. I get it.
They tend to be fuzzy and whatnot. But, man, you had something earlier this week I absolutely shared on Facebook on America's Most Haunted because it was astonishing. I think it was crazy. The guy. He was in like I mean, you could see his clothing. I mean, he was absolutely
very, very cool. So everyone,
amazing.
Everyone go check that out, Mystical Minnesota Paranormal over there on Facebook. We're up against Fox News, so we got to run. We come back. Andrea Mesich is on. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk about all things paranormal with her, so you're going to want to stick around for that.
News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony.
As he's serving our nation abroad, I trust Hillary Clinton with our son's life.
Tim Kaine's son is a Marine. Clinton's running mate also mocks Donald Trump.
We're going to destroy ISIS so fast, believe me.
Then Kaine said,
you cannot believe one word that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth.
And he's hardly the only Democrat attacking the Republican.
To tell us he cares about the middle class? Give me a break. That's a bunch of malarkey.
Vice President Biden said Trump doesn't have a clue. President Obama also took shots closing out night 3 to the convention. Fox's Tanya J. Powers live in Philadelphia.
Well, the president aimed squarely at the GOP nominee.
He's betting that if he scares enough people, he might score just enough votes to win this election. And that's another bet that Donald Trump will lose.
And he played up Hillary Clinton's qualifications to be president.
She is fit and she is ready to be the next commander-in-chief.
Tonight she'll make history when she accepts the nomination, officially making her the first woman to be nominated for president by a major party. She's expected to talk about her plan for the economy and national security, among other things, Dave.
Well, Tony, Donald Trump is waving off all the attacks.
Look, they're doing their thing. They're trying to win. They're trying to justify 8 years of horror.
And he brushes off all the criticism about what he said about Hillary Clinton's email, saying he was being sarcastic yesterday, suggesting the Russians find the ones she deleted in her Secretary of State scandal. A death on the wildfire fighting line in California. A bulldozer operator was killed.
It's a brotherhood, so it's devastating.
Cal Fire Battalion Chief Henry Herrera. That fire in the Big Sur region has burned down 34 homes. This is Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Only in the forest can you see this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. And you might just see this. Visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting.
Location.
My backyard.
Oh, your backyard. Try telling a bear that.
I did, and this bear talked back.
Talking bear, that's rich.
No, wait, it was Smokey Bear.
Smokey? Why didn't you say so?
I did say so.
Continue.
I was burning yard waste.
No, boy.
He told me to burn legally and responsibly, and to remember that if it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave.
And as always, he's right. You know, 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
Yeah, I know that now.
Thanks to me.
Actually, thanks to Smokey.
As usual, the talking bear gets all the credit. Get your Smokey on. Always burn responsibly and contact your local fire department for open burning regulations. Because 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented. Brought to you by Smokey Bear, the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
And welcome back to After Hours AM, everybody. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me,
Eric Olsen.
Hey, Mr. Eric Olsen. We have a great guest tonight. Why don't you go ahead and tell the audience who we got? I mean, I have been waiting and wanting to talk to this lady for a very long time.
All right, cue the spooky music, at least in your head.
I could play some spooky music as we go because I have some queued up as we speak, so don't worry about it. Here we go. Well, 3, 2...
A young family's rocking chair sways under the force of an unseen presence, gutted by fire, an abandoned schoolhouse teems with restless spirits. Phantom lights chase the terrified motorists deep in a national forest. Regales readers 4 fascinating, creepy tales of the paranormal from Wisconsin and Michigan's Upper Peninsula in her The Ghost in the Coal Cellar. Andrea Mesich, hailing from Ironwood, Michigan, studies the paranormal, practices new techniques, tests different theories, and researches history, trying to discover why paranormal events happen and what we can learn from them. She also has been a demonologist for the last 2 years, traveling the country, just randomly, willy-nilly.
Just shows up at people's houses.
Officials with tough cases of the paranormal and the demonic. Knock, knock, knock. Who's there? Andrea Mesich, your traveling demonologist.
And you have a demon.
Welcome to the program, Andrea. We're so happy.
Hey, Andrea, how you been? You know, I really enjoy your book, of course, and what you've written, but how do you get the cojones, I want to ask right away before we jump into what got you into it, to be a demonologist for the last 2 years? I mean, that stuff scares the living crap out of me. I even pee a little just at the word demonologist.
Well, it's not for everybody, obviously. I call it a vocation. I'm Catholic, obviously. I can't become a priest because women can't be priests, and
Damn
I would make
sexist
a terrible
pigs.
nun.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the vow of silence alone would
yes.
You know?
I thought about that one time, and I realized I like to talk entirely too much.
I can't do it. So I found this as like a calling to me, like something that, you know, when I first faced an actual case of a demonic haunting, and I realized, hey, you know, I think maybe I could do some good here. I mean, you know, so I talked a lot about with my priest, who happens to be the assistant exorcist of our diocese, and you know, we talked a lot about it, and he just made sure that it was right for me, and I said, okay, I'm going to do it.
Wow, I mean, you know,
why not?
Is there like a tryout period? I mean, you know, make sure it's right for you. I mean, you know.
Well, the trial period is when you face a demon, you know, you actually go into a demonic haunting, and if you can stomach it, if you can handle it, then, you know, okay, you might be okay there.
Trial by puking fire.
Trial by fire. Well, you know what? And that's exactly what almost happened to me. That is the first time I dealt with it. It was not good.
Okay, but let's back up. I know I jumped right into the demonology thing because it intrigued me there for a minute, because we talked a lot of demonologists. Always makes it go, what the heck made you want to do that? What made a nice Michigan girl like you interested in the paranormal for the last 12 years? I mean, you sound so sweet and so innocent. What would make you jump into this field of study?
Well, actually, I started out as a very sweet and innocent Wisconsinite.
Oh, well, go Wisconsin.
Said to this day, we love even up in the UP, we love our Packers. So, basically, I didn't even believe in the paranormal. I'm just like every paranormal person is going to tell you, I started out as a skeptic.
Sure.
And that's true. I mean, I really honestly did not believe in the paranormal. I used to actually make fun of people who believed in the paranormal, including my own brother, him and his now wife were very big into the paranormal before I was.
Mm-hmm.
And what ended up happening was, again, the whole baptized by fire thing. You actually have your first experience that you just can't explain. You just can't question anymore.
Sure.
And it kind of, throws you in there and you don't really have a choice. But you either run away and you try to rationalize it in your mind and you try to say this couldn't happen, it didn't happen, I refuse to believe it happened. Or you can actually say, you know what, I'm going to find out why this happened, how this happens, and see if I can bring answers to other people. And I chose that last one.
See, kind of that. You have the Scooby-Doo moment, and you want to find out what's behind it, other than Mr. Jenkins, of course, because he's always behind it. But you really want to dig into it. What was your experience, or what made that real for you?
Whip it on us.
Yeah, show us.
Well, it's kind of funny. Like I said, my brother was actually a believer before I was. My brother Andy and his now wife Jamie, at the time that was his fiance, they went to Gettysburg with friends. And my brother has this thing where, like, a lot of people go buy souvenirs, those cheap little snow globes. And they don't like that kind of thing. When they have a souvenir, they want something that actually means something to them. So when they were actually on the battlefield of Gettysburg, and he's just like, God, people died here. People, put their lives on the line for things they believed in here. And so they picked up a pebble from, the actual battlefield. And that was their souvenir. It was like, this is where people walked and this is where people died for what they believed in. And they thought, well, this is going to be a nice souvenir. They're going to take it home. They'll put it on their thing and maybe put a little thing in front of it that says from Gettysburg. And when they returned, it was fine when they returned. Nothing really happened for the first day or two. And then they went to a party called Bastille Days in Milwaukee. And that was about 30 minutes from where we lived, a little more than 30 minutes. And so I was home alone with my mom. My mom had gone into her bedroom to watch TV and get ready for bed, and I was upstairs in my little loft. And I heard the door open and close. I heard really heavy footsteps coming through the kitchen and going down the hallway past my staircase and into my brother's room. I heard the door open and close, and well, my brother, he wears cowboy boots. And so I thought, the heavy boots had been, my cowboy brother. So, I went downstairs to find out how Bastille Days was. And when I went to his room, the door opens by itself. And the light's on. And I know I turned the light off personally because my mom's old school. It's, if the light's on, you're wasting money if you're not in there. So it better be off if you're not in the room.
Heck yeah, man. I'm paying the bills. You better turn that damn thing off.
That's exactly what she'd say. She's like, I'm the one paying the bills.
I'm not heating outdoors. Close the door.
So I actually closed that light off myself because my brother had left it on when he left. And the light was on. And the door opens and nobody's in there.
Yeah.
So I actually go to talk to my mom and see if, maybe he went and, to say goodnight to her. And, she looks at me, she's like, which one of the boys came home? I said, well, nobody came in here. And she's like, no. So I went and I looked again and there's nothing there. And I said, crap, somebody broke into the house. So my first instinct was, of course, grab a butcher knife. And
wow, listen to you going all dirty hairy on them.
I did. I had my mom had a butcher knife and I had a knife and I'm walking around the house like, talking about I've got great aim. I can, hit you where the sun don't shine from, 20 feet away. And I'm looking under beds and I'm looking in closets and
wielding a butcher knife.
with my butcher knife, like I'm holding it like a scary movie, like, I'm ready to.
Oh yeah. You're Norman Bates in it the whole way, man. I know you are.
And then it didn't even dawn on me to check the doors and the windows until I realized that there was nobody in the house. And when I checked all the doors and windows, I realized that everything was still locked. Nothing had been touched. Nothing had been opened, and everything was nice and secure. And then after that, things just started happening. You'd hear your name being whispered when there's nobody else around.
Any throat clearing going on by chance? I mean, the last couple of emails that Kirsten read live all involved throat clearing.
Throat clearing? No throat clearing. No.
Oh, okay.
No,
Just
not
curious,
really.
just making sure they weren't the throat clearing, clearing ghosts.
Yeah, it's a new classification.
It is.
It's a phlegm
It is.
ghost.
Kind of like Black Eyes Matter.
Almost a Sudafed. No, actually, the one big thing that did happen, though, is I was sitting on my bed, and I was really mad. I'm talking on my phone with my friend because I'm upset. I can't find all these batteries that I had just bought.
Sure.
And my remote control for my TV had just died. And, I'm not a caveman. I'm not about to get up and, manually push the buttons on my TV.
Not anymore. I grew up, Dad. You can't make me push the buttons.
Exactly. I'm really upset at this point. And all of a sudden, in my closet, which is, my bed is about 8 feet away from my closet, from way in the back on the very top shelf, that it had been pushed as far back on the shelf as it could be, this box comes flying out of my closet and actually flies the full 8 feet, and it only stops because it hits the bed.
Oh.
Otherwise, it would have kept going. And then when the box tipped over, there's all the batteries that I had just bought in that box.
I bet you felt cheated. I bet you're mad. You're like, it's one thing to mess with me. It's one thing to scare me, but stealing my Walmart batteries is where I draw the line.
I thought it was a nice gesture because I wouldn't have even looked in that box. I completely forgot that box was there.
I'm
I
sure,
thought it was friendly.
I'm sure that ghost hit it there, and they're
It
like,
was Casper.
Yeah, the friendly battery stealing ghost. Eating them.
Ma'am, you may need these batteries soon.
Yeah, that's what I kind of figured,
They probably drained them first because they want the energy.
The batteries worked perfectly fine.
Okay,
Fine.
so you're gonna go with that cup half full on that side of it. It was a nice gesture.
I thought it was a very nice gesture. I personally thought it was nice. I thought it was a very helpful ghost, and
that is good to have. Environmentally minded ghosts as well, putting the batteries all in one area. That way, when they could be disposed of, you can do it properly. That is good. Wow. What was your thoughts watching this box of batteries flying headlong towards you?
Well, the first thing I did was say a couple choice words I really can't say on air.
Oh.
And then I hung up with my friend and kind of freaked her out a little bit. And I'm staring at the box for a while, and I'm still not comprehending.
Did you get a stick and poke the box first to make sure?
I kicked it a little bit.
Okay.
I kind of kicked it like ew, like is there something?
Yeah.
Like maybe a mouse or. But it's still, it still didn't come to me yet. I still wasn't really willing to say anything until the big incident happened. And this is what I call the life-changing incident. And that was, my father was very sick. He was terminally ill. He had a cancer that was incurable. And my grandmother had just passed away. And my dad was in the hospital, and he was about to pass away himself. And so at that time, nothing really happened in those few weeks when my dad was getting ready to pass, when it was his time. And he passed away, and it was, very peaceful. We were all there, and, it was a very, sad moment for us, but he went very peacefully after, suffering for 3 years. A month later, my mom and I bought our first new landline phone, and we had gone with those little tiny itty bitty micro tape recorder machines.
Sure, yeah, the brand new 1983. Yeah.
Well, we came into the 2000s and actually bought a digital voice machine, and we were so excited because it was beeping for the first time, and we got our first new message on a digital voice machine. And it was all white noise, kind of like back in the day when, my brothers could still butt dial us from their phones.
Oh, sure, the fun days.
They used to say the most ridiculous things to their friends, and so we'd always listen in when they'd butt dial us so that we could make fun of them later. So we're listening to the message, and we're listening to it, and then all of a sudden we hear something, and I immediately call my brothers, and I tell them they have to come home. They have to get here as soon as possible, and literally they were there within maybe about 15 minutes. We played it for them without telling them what we heard, and then we said it at the same time. We said, "That's Dad." And it was my dad's voice saying very clearly, "I love you." Mm-hmm. And then there was another male voice that said, "There's the light, let's," and then the tape cut out.
Oh, were you able to, by some chance, keep the message?
No. And this is the funny part. Not only did that message disappear, but that same night, my brother, Andy, the one that actually brought the spirit, we believe, home from Gettysburg, he had a message from my dad. It was my oldest brother shares his name. So he thought it was from my brother at first.
Mhm.
And it said, the lightning is beautiful up here. And it was that same night. And so my brother said, well, what are you talking about? It's a clear night. There's nothing. So he calls my brother to say, what, is there a storm coming or what's
Mhm.
going on? And my brother said, I just got off, he's a cop and he was in his squad car writing a ticket. And he's like, I'm writing a ticket. I'm not online. I don't have, instant messenger in the car and anything. So
Sure.
my brother went to take a picture of that message, and that message disappeared.
Huh.
We think the secondary voice that said, there's the light, was the spirit that was in our house. And we feel it's either one of two things. The spirit came from Gettysburg, we are theorizing, and knew my dad was not long for the world when he came. He knew that my dad only had a little time left. And he either wanted to help my dad transition and cross over, or maybe he's been stuck for so long and, he didn't know how to cross over himself, that he knew my dad was very religious, a very strong religious man, and he knew that my dad would probably know how to cross over.
Follow
and he
your
was waiting
father
for my dad.
Follow your father's lead.
Exactly.
To kind of show him
Yeah.
the way out, which could very well be the case. It's very interesting that there was an attachment involved with the, theorizing anyway, with the passing. Because if that is the case, like you say, it helped. That's not the first time I've ever heard a story like that, where a ghost or spirit hitches a ride.
Yeah.
With those near death.
And that ended all of the paranormal things in that house. I mean, nothing ever happened after that. So, I mean, it's not a very far stretch to say that if there was a spirit in that house that was causing a few of the paranormal experiences that I was having at the time, that it did cross over with my dad, and that was the voice that we heard talking about the light, because then all paranormal activity ceased.
Sure. Unfortunately, I lost my father as well to cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's such a battle. I mean,
Yeah.
I totally feel you when you're talking about 3 years and going through it and all the steps. I mean, it's such a hard thing. It's such a taxing thing on everybody. There's a peace, and there's almost a peace that happens when you know the fight is done. And that being said, I think that the ghost spirit that was in turmoil from Gettysburg, if that, of course, is how it worked. I mean, of course, we all conjecture. I think it may have been drawn to that piece.
Yeah, that's what
what
we were thinking. That was my main theory is, that it crossed over with my dad and it was waiting for my dad to help him maybe.
Sure.
And that's what actually got me into the paranormal. That's what was my aha moment. Like, I could pass off the box of batteries. I could pass off the shoes walking through that my mom and I both experienced. I could pass off the voices, saying my name. But when I heard my dad's voice a month after he died on a brand new machine that had never been in the house before, it was only a day old, and it was a digital machine. It didn't take the little tape recorders anymore. Then I had to start saying, I can't explain this away anymore, and I want to know what's going on.
Well, it only takes one experience like that to turn a skeptic into a believer.
Exactly, it does. Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of stories. In fact, that happened to me some years ago. Something similar with a answering machine. Someone that had passed away called me, oddly enough, and I, of course, wasn't home, because it never happens when you're home. It's not like you can pick it up and go, oh, you're over on the other side. What's it like? What do you like? Is Elvis as cool as he was in life? I mean, you don't have that opportunity to actually talk to him, but it's always this weird, almost strange message that almost mine anyway sounded like there's a lot of interference, static interference with the message. It was like, made it to the other side, and it was gone. I don't know how yours was. Was yours clear as day, or was there a lot of...
there was white noise. Like I said, it sounded like butt dialing, and it sounded like it was in somebody's pocket.
Exactly.
But the voice was clear as day. Like,
Gotcha.
I mean, it was undeniably my dad's voice.
Gotcha. Now, have you heard more tales, being in the paranormal for the last 12 years? Have you heard more similar tales of what you went through from other folks?
You know what? It is very common for people to get a reach out from the afterlife on like phone messages, and usually after the fact. And I say it's the same thing when it comes to electronic voice phenomenon, or EVPs. I believe, and again, this is my belief, it's a theory. I can't say for 100% for fact right now, but one of my theories is that the reason that we can hear things after the fact on a recorder or on a voicemail machine is because it records in different frequencies. There's frequencies that if you go to YouTube and you take a hearing test, it'll show you frequencies from birth all the way to 100 years old.
Yeah.
And let's say you're about 35. You're not going to hear anything from like 0 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old, 20 years old. Once it reaches 25, you might hear something very faintly, but once it reaches your age is when you're actually able to hear it. And then once it's there and it goes all the way up, provided you have normal hearing, then, that's, how it works. I mean, we lose a little bit of it as we age. So what a recorder does is it records in different frequencies that we can't hear with our ears, and it brings it up into what I believe is like a universal frequency where we can hear each level that it records on, and it brings it into something that everybody should be able to hear with normal hearing. And that's why a lot of times we can hear it after the fact. And that's why I believe they wait until the voice machine. They wait to not talk to you on the phone because you might not actually be able to hear it. They wait to actually record their voices.
Sure.
And again, that's just a theory. That's just something that I've been playing with, but that's one of my beliefs about that.
It's as relevant as a theory as any I've ever heard for that phenomena as far as that goes. I mean, I have played with sound. I have analyzed a lot of EVP. I'm a sound guy. I mean, and so I see what frequencies some of these EVP are coming in, and they are just earth-shatteringly high.
Yeah.
That we cannot even, our hearing cannot perceive them. And in fact, a lot of times, of course, there's always going to be a debate between digital and analog, which I'm not going to go there at this moment. But it does seem that the analog tape, the actual tape, has a higher frequency realm than the digital. It can actually capture higher because it's a product of mechanics, not a software program telling it what to hear.
Yeah.
It's actually hearing what is being imprinted. And so I played with that quite a bit, and it's been my actually the one that performed the best for me was reel-to-reel, believe it or not. They had the best range of all of them that were able to go into those ranges that are just ungodly high that no one can hear. And I think that's why when there's EVP being done, a session, and you play it back, you go, oh my gosh, I didn't hear that. I think that it was either said, of course, but we weren't able, like you said, to hear it. Because it's in
that's
that
why
range.
I think children are very susceptible to the paranormal. They can hear things and see things that we can't. And again, if you go to YouTube and you take that video or you take that audio test, there are, like, let's say you have like a little 6-year-old that has an imaginary friend, and they can hear things and have conversations with this imaginary friend, and you can't see it or you can't hear it. But if you take that audio test, when you reach that 6-year-old mark, you're not going to be able to hear the frequencies that your 6-year-old child can hear.
Exactly.
So
They
it's
have
very
young
possible
ears.
that that's a child. That's why children are more susceptible to the paranormal, because they can hear the frequencies that we can't anymore.
Well, that, and I think that no one's told them it's impossible yet.
Well, that's another thing. And that's just same with animals. Animals can hear on frequencies that we can't hear, and they accept what they hear and they see because they don't know they're not supposed to hear and see it.
Yeah, we don't have that subconscious filter in the back of our head. They don't yet.
No,
that can't be real. That can't be real. They don't have that filter yet. So whatever they're seeing and hearing, they have no filters as far as what they say. If they see it and hear it, they're going to tell you what they're seeing and hearing.
Yeah.
And I do believe you're correct. You're on the right path, in my opinion. I think that it's twofold. Number one, the younger the ear, the higher frequency it's able to listen to because it hasn't been beaten up by headphones and everything else. That, and number two, no one's ever told these small children that it's not possible. To them, they're seeing Grandpa. They don't, I mean, no one's telling them that Grandpa, it hasn't even registered yet with a lot of like 2 and 3 year olds that Grandpa's dead.
Yep.
They have no concept of death. So when they say, well, I saw Grandpa last night, they have no reason to lie because they don't have the concept.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing. Like when you're talking about a 2 and a 3 year old, just like in the case in my book about the little girl that would see somebody and have conversations with somebody in this rocking chair.
Sure.
Is psychologically standing, if you talk from a psychological standpoint, even advanced children, I mean, like when we're talking children in Mensa or who are very advanced, even at that point, the imagination of a child, like where they can actually think up imaginary friends and have conversations with imaginary friends, provided they are imaginary, that actually doesn't start until they're about 4.5 years old, closer to 5 years old.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about a child that has an imaginary friend at 3 years old and they're having these full conversations with these people at 3 years old, they don't have the ability at that time, even if they're advanced in, even if they're a little more mature for their age and more advanced for their age, that still psychologically they're not really ready at that age for
it hasn't come into their worldview yet.
Exactly.
Of what's possible, what's not possible. And I really do. I agree with you 110%. I do believe that children, and actually I've also heard it both ways, children and the people that are autistic.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I've had a lot of reports of them being able to really tap into the paranormal as well. Adults are autistic because they're able to focus way differently than we are.
Exactly.
And, where they're just amazingly talented, amazingly focused to the point where they can tune into that different frequency of life.
Yeah.
And be able to tell us. In fact, a lot of psychic mediums that are extremely skilled, I've been told, that aren't, obviously not para-celebrities, that they have a touch, they're on the spectrum.
Yeah.
They're on the spectrum. But that being said, we got to run a break. We come back, more Andrea Mesich. When we come back, don't go anywhere because we're going to get into the scary stuff right after this.
Out the other. To understand, 'cause I'm not too sure I can lend a hand.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Anavar Media LCC is a dedicated team of professionals committed to helping business development scale and protect their websites, mobile applications, enterprise software solutions in the Northeast Ohio area. Locally owned since 2012, our client-centered values truly sets Anavar apart. Contact us today to learn how you can get 25% off your first project. Call them at 234-380-4852. Again, that's 234-380-4852, or visit them at www.anavar.com. Again, that's www.anavar.com.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
In 1999, The Exorcist was voted the scariest movie of all time.
Your daughter doesn't say she's a demon. She says she's the devil himself.
Entertainment Weekly calls it the most viscerally harrowing movie ever made.
That thing upstairs isn't my daughter.
The most electrifying movie of the 20th century is now coming back to theaters.
Where's Reagan?
In here with us.
Author William Peter Blatty and director William Friedkin have created an expanded, thrilling new version of The Exorcist with footage that has never been seen before.
She needs a priest.
Don't miss The Exorcist in the version you've never seen. Possessing theaters everywhere. Rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
Do you have a question for our guest tonight? Don't feel like calling the show? Not a problem. Email those questions to afterhoursam@gmail.com. Again, that's afterhoursam@gmail.com. welcome back to After Hours AM, and we're talking with a very single and ready to mingle, Andrea Mesich. She wanted me to throw that in, guys, during the break. She's single and ready to demonically mingle with something she also wanted to throw in there. But that being said, you also wrote
a unique skill set.
Exactly. Do you need to have your demons exercised? Then look no further.
Andrea, I have a actually very serious question that came to mind when you were describing your epiphany, as it were, for the paranormal. You have described yourself as a strong Catholic, so much so that you've recently gotten into demonology. So I was just wondering, how did the religious aspect or the religious part of your life, your mind, your soul, how did that accept or correspond with this paranormal epiphany? How did you blend them, assuming you did, in your mind?
Wow, that's actually a really good question. Actually, to be perfectly honest, and I hope my mom's not listening right now because she's... when I was younger, before my actual paranormal epiphany, before I had that quote-unquote baptism by fire, I was what was called a fly-by-night Catholic. I went to church because my mom made me. And while I was there, I was like, by the time we're done with the Our Father, before you get to shaking the hands, because we say the Our Father towards, right before communion, and then we start to shake hands with everybody. And before I had to shake anybody's hand, I'd sneak out and go sit in the car and wait for my mom to be done. And, I hated going to, I went to CCD. I hated going CCD. I'd go there to hang out with my friends.
Okay, what is CCD that for us that
CCD
are not
is,
Catholic?
that's right. That's true. Okay. For those who are non-Catholics, CCD is basically Catholicism for children. It teaches the younger children to prepare them for their first communion, and then as you get older and you're going to become an adult in the church, it prepares you for your confirmation, which is when you actually understand fully about the commitment to becoming, a Christian and a Catholic, and and then you make this confirmation saying that you accept this into your life, and basically at that age, it's a place to go and hang out with a lot of your friends.
But why
also
not?
Catholics,
Good times.
So I believed in God, I believed in Jesus, but like I said, I was one of those. I didn't pray, I didn't like to go to church, I felt like I had to make my mom happy. And so it was after the actual paranormal experience, it was kind of like a kick in the butt, come to God moment.
Sure.
Where it's just like, okay, well, now I can't deny that, this happened, and I can't deny it anymore. I mean, that was my dad's voice. That was my dad. That was another spirit with my dad. My dad has been gone for a month, so I know it can't, there's nothing that I can explain it away. It's a brand new machine. It's the first time we've ever had digital, so it's not like it's a voice that got stuck there and, just imprinted. I said, I can't explain this. And if I can't explain this, if this is a spirit, if this is my dad and another spirit with him, if this is something, then that means that there has to be an afterlife. There has to be a life after this, because what are spirits? If we die and then there's nothing, then what are ghosts? And all of a sudden, I kind of had a come to God moment, and I became much more religious than I used to be. And I started to pray, and I started to go to church, and I actually started participating in church. I'm a singer at church, and I do readings at church. Like I said, I work with priests now across the country, and including in my little hometown with our assistant exorcist. He helps me on cases, and occasionally he'll call me in on cases to help him with certain cases. And I feel that it's actually brought me closer in my religion than tearing me away, as some people sometimes believe paranormal experiences can.
Well, sure. I mean, it's actually, some religions, and Catholic included, there are some that look down the paranormal as necromancy.
Exactly.
Do not be communing with the dead.
Yeah.
That is not your place to do so. I've heard that more than once. I got a question. When you are doing your demon thing, being a demonologist, exorcist, doing the demon thing, how do they present?
On Friday nights, I go
on Friday nights, we curl our hairs, we have ourselves a Heineken, and we go out and we hunt for demons. It's such a good time. Call Chloe. It's going to be fun. That being said, when you run into a quote-unquote demon, how do you get called in on a exorcism case? And after you've been called in, how do demons present themselves in the real world to people?
Wow. That is such a complex question. I could never really answer.
Well, I'm Mr. Complex.
Exactly. I'll give you the short and simple version as
Reader's
short and
Digest
simply as I can. First off, when they actually call me, it's because I have worked with priests before, and the word gets around, because the problem is, especially after Vatican II, and I'm not going to get into that whole mess, but after Vatican II, a lot of the belief in demons have turned into this, it's a personal thing. The demons aren't actually demons, it's a personal evil within yourself, and they become very wishy-washy about it. So exorcists are they're very kind of like close to themselves. They kind of stick to their own groups. So they don't like, kind of like spread out, or because even priests that aren't Catholic or that aren't exorcists will kind of mock them, or, kind of like go after them a little bit. So
they're going after the boogeyman, that kind of thing. Yeah.
They all think it's medieval. It's, it's a medieval practice.
It's a hold back from the old days.
They kind of seek out the people that can help them, and the people that can understand, the people who still understand that the demonic and malicious entities are actual entities that are affecting people and hurting people's lives. And that's kind of how, when they know about paranormal investigators who are Catholics especially, they kind of reach out to us, and and then once you have a set of, okay, this person really knows what they're doing, this person knows their theology, this person knows a lot about the rites, then the word gets around, and then they start to kind of call you, like they'll give you, like, say, this priest will say, well, here's her number.
There's a message board out there.
Exactly, like a little, like just a little priest, like like the collar board.
So
the word gets around, and then they'll start calling you, and they'll ask you for advice, or they'll ask you to come out, and because a lot of times too, when you're dealing with malicious entities, especially when it gets towards the possession stage, when it actually takes hold of a person, they have to have the bishop's permission in order to do an exorcism. Not a home, like a cleansing or an expulsion from a home during an infestation, but if it's an actual possession of a person, they have to have the bishop or the archbishop's permission in order to do it. So they'll call people like me in to actually gather the evidence needed, because we know how to gather the evidence, and then they can present that to the bishop or the archbishop, and they can see if they can get the...
Well, when you show up on a scene, and after you've gotten the green light from the bishop, you show up. Now the demons like foaming at the mouth, and they're so obviously demons, like, we are here, you cannot make us leave. Or is it more of a subtle...
It depends. This one case, it actually turned me into a. I was going to say
turned me into a demon, by the way, and I am comfortably living the seventh layer.
It actually made me become a demonologist. First off, it was very subtle. It was like a playful spirit. Like it would roll a ball, or it would open. It was almost like a poltergeist. It was opening and closing cabinet doors, and opening drawers and shutting drawers, and nothing malicious. And then when I actually caught a photographic evidence of this particular entity, it appeared as a dog. It had a dog's face with human eyes.
Oh,
In
geez.
the corner, there were these kind of like, they look like owls, like really wide eyes that are just kind of staring at you. And it looks very, like, if you look at it, it actually looks like a picture of just like a cute little puppy with human eyes.
Great dog. I love his blue eyes.
But when you see it, it kind of also gives you this like creepy feeling. And so you know something's off.
Yeah.
And a lot of times these spirits will kind of manifest as in animalistic features with human features kind of mixed in. And if you looked at the picture, it looked like a photo negative where like dark would look white, and so like if you turned it into an actual picture, it would have been a black animal with bright colored eyes, like white eyes or yellow eyes.
Sure. Oh, wow. I mean, that's creepy as hell. I would not want to see that picture you're even talking about.
And then after that, that's when creepy things started to happen.
Oh, you mean that wasn't creepy enough? Oh,
no, that wasn't creepy enough. But then creepy things started to happen. Like, you put up a cross, and then you'd find the cross when you'd come home. It's leaning up against it's on the floor, leaning against the wall upside down.
Oh, geez. That's
always... Finally, I called a priest. That was the first time that I'd actually talked to my priest.
Could you imagine how that phone call went? I'm having a bit of a problem over
He
here.
actually approached me because what happened, I never talked to this priest before. He was relatively new to our church, and he had by some and I don't believe in coincidences anymore because it just seems too coincidental. He actually was listening to Coast to Coast. I was on with George Nuri about, I think it was 2 years ago now.
Okay.
And he actually heard the podcast. He never listens to it, but he had caught a piece of one of the person who was on before me, and he wanted to listen to the rest of that podcast. So he actually signed up, got a membership, listened to the podcast, and all of a sudden he heard a name that was familiar to him because, I'm a cantor at the church. And he's
Sure.
like, no, that can't be.
It can't be the same girl.
So after church, he's like, he pulls me aside. He's like, can I, ask you, were you on Coast to Coast? Are you this ghost hunter thing?
You that? You her? You
And
that.
then that's how we got to talking. And then I told him about the predicament that I had with this potentially demonic entity. And he came and we did a cleansing. I participated in the cleansing with him.
Okay, how does the cleansing go down? I mean, that's a source of controversy right now. I mean,
It's a source of controversy, and again, this is only from a Catholic perspective. What he does, we start at the top most level of the house. Like if there's an attic accessible, you go in the attic. Otherwise, you start at the top stairs, and you push the entity down. Like you completely bless the entire upstairs. You put holy water, you put holy oil, you bless it in the names of the archangels and in God and Christ, and you call the saints to like surround the house and protect the house, and you push it down until it gets to the lowest level and it can't go back up because that's blessed and that's full of God's light. And then that's when you say, you got to get out. You're out of here. You're done.
Get out of here.
So, you start from there, and you, like I said, it's a lot of praying. It's a lot of blessing. It's a lot of holy water, holy oil, and
holy crap.
Yeah. And as we were doing it, I became violently ill. And at this house, it was winterized, so that means the water was turned off. So when I'm getting ready to feel like I'm about to throw up, I'm thinking, well, I can't go to the toilet because the toilet's out. I can't throw up in the tub because I can't wash it. And I'm thinking of all these different ways I can escape in order to go throw up. And that's when I realized, this thing was trying to focus my mind on anything other than praying.
Sure.
Well, I actually was recording this incident because I said, I want to see if I could capture anything from this event to see if I could find any evidence of what was going on here. When the priest came, you could hear him like get out of his car, and you can hear what sounds like a threat, like "come on," like something saying
like
"come
it's
on,"
psyching itself up for battle, kind
like
of thing.
like it was like getting ready to fight. And
what
then,
you gonna do when demonic forces run wild on you?
Exactly.
Yeah, that kind of thing. I got a question though. Before we kind of this just kind of came in by email.
Oh, email.
Derek is curious of what is the most frequent activity in the that finds people possessed. What's the one activity that you have found that makes people possessed? I mean, what's the gateway? What's the gateway drug, so to speak?
There are so many. There's actually a lot of ways. And unfortunately, because of the internet and the accessibility to all sorts of different, like the occult is so much, the occult's right at your fingertips now.
Sure.
And so we find that, now that's why it actually seems to be getting more pronounced, like more paranormal activity, more demonic infestations, more possessions, because people have it much more ready to them, right at their fingertips. But definitely occult practices such as, I know I'm going to get a lot of pushback from a lot of friends of mine, and I'm sorry, but I still believe the Ouija board.
Well, that has been said several times in the show.
I've been on, let's say, I'm just going to say like my top 5 cases of demonic infestations. At least 3 of them included the Ouija board, and one of them included a haunted object that was brought into the house that actually had a demonic attachment, much like the Annabelle doll.
Oh.
And one was actually somebody, that Charlie game that they were playing, that it was some kind of big viral promotion for a really bad movie.
Yep. In fact, we covered that not so long ago.
It was a really bad movie. But the intention behind it was some people actually believed they were summoning a Mexican demon. Because, you know,
Wow.
there's a lot of demons named Juan out there.
Yeah, he comes up. Hello, I'm Juan. Juan the demon from south of the border.
The intention behind it was they actually believed that they were doing it, and that's an invitation. If you give a demon an invitation to come, they're going to, even if their name is not Juan or Charlie or whatever this demon's name was supposed to be, they're going to come in. You know,
Bob
you're
the
inviting
demon.
them in.
Yeah, well, exactly. And that's just it. A lot of it's intent. A lot of it's opening yourself
intent,
up. You go out there and you open yourself up and you say, hey, you know what? Interact with me. They will.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. They will.
Yeah.
We haven't really touched on your book at all. We've been so busy talking about all cool things that you're into, but I want to touch on your book before we leave here. And I think it's
in the Coal Cellar.
Yeah, exactly. Ghost in the Coal Cellar by Andrea Mesich. How did that book come about?
Well, people kept asking me, you know, as I was doing paranormal investigations, they always ask me, you know, how did you get into this? Or, you know, like, well, have you ever had any experiences with what I'm going through? And people always ask the questions, and they want to know a little bit about what is paranormal investigation like, because they see like Zach Bagans getting possessed on every episode of
Come scrounge me.
Adventures. And,
Yeah.
and they want to know the truth.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? What's on TV is I would say it's a fair portrayal, but it's not always an accurate portrayal, especially as we get in now. Now you have people saying that they can capture ghosts in a box, or you know, I mean, it's getting more gimmicky. Yeah. So I said, I want to show people what it's really like. I want to show them the stories, but I want to go beyond the stories. I want to show them how it's affecting real people and how these real people are having these instances happen to them, and that, you know, this is something that changes their lives. This isn't for fun. This isn't for, let's go on a Saturday night and do a paranormal investigation at somebody's house, stir things up, and then leave them with the aftermath.
Now, do you think that demonic possession has almost been glorified? I mean, it's become like the in thing to get into?
I actually, you know, and I'm not going to, I won't mention any names. I'm not going to mention any names, but I do think in a way it has been somewhat glorified. Like, of course, I don't think people actually want to get possessed by a demon, but they want to be the next one to have a TV show. And they think, well, you know, let's see if we can invite this spirit to manipulate me or to use my body or to, you know, do something, you know, that can, you know, get me on TV and get me famous. And so I think there has been a little bit of manipulation there, kind of a little glorification there. I don't think anybody intentionally sets out, because I don't think they fully understand the ramifications.
Yeah, I would say you're absolutely correct. I mean, I would not go out and say, hey, I want to be the greatest radio host ever, so I'm going to go ahead and sign that deal with the devil. No. I think that there's a lot of misconceptions, because once you're tagged, you're tagged. I mean, I knew Ed Warren very well, and you know, and we'd spoken about that quite a few times on radio, and it's almost like once you're a demonologist and you're an exorcist, you are tagged. It's almost as if you become that lightning rod for them, because you are now the adversary.
Exactly.
To where a lot of times, you know, they leave the average person alone, because, you know, quite honestly, I don't understand why demons to this day want to possess a guy living in a trailer park. I mean, I would possess some high level official, and you know,
it all depends on again your religion. From my religious aspect, from the Catholicism point and talking to a lot of different exorcists, it's all about, it's not about the person, it's about God and their disdain for God and their hate for God and their anger for God, and they want to just hurt God. And what better way to hurt God than to hurt one of God's children? It doesn't matter who they are or what walk of life they are. It's just to hurt them.
Good point, because we are all, after all, we're all in his image. And that's one thing that they allegedly, because I'm not a demonologist, and nor do I want to become one. They do not like that fact that we are God's children. But writing the book, and I know that you've had a lot of success with the book. A lot of people have written the book. Now, have you had a lot of people, after they read the book, come to you and say, this is what I got going on in my life?
Oh yeah. I mean, like I said, after I wrote the book and I did, promotional tours and, I signed copies of the book, I held autograph sessions. All of a sudden my business just kind of shot up, like all of a sudden I was getting calls every in fact, this is the busiest summer I have had in many, many years, even though the book's been out since late 2014. this is one of the busiest years I've had when it comes to the paranormal. And it's very, it's very interesting. Everyone has a story to tell you. Like when they won't tell you, obviously nobody's going to come up in Walmart and say like, oh, hey, you know what? Did you hear about this ghost thing I had? But once they hear that you wrote a book about it and that you actually study it and that you're an investigator, everybody has a story that they've got to tell you.
I think most people have that moment that was just strange that they cannot explain.
Yeah.
And there's still a stigma for a lot of people. Am I crazy? If I tell others that I saw, this or I had that happen to me, my peers are going to think I'm absolutely nuts. But, well, here's Andrea, and she wrote this book. So now I feel like I can word vomit all over her about what happened.
Yeah, and you know what? There is still stigma. I mean, people from religious communities are terrified of coming forward because they're, especially in certain religions, they get ostracized if they feel that, you had those experiences.
Andrea, the book basically covers 4 episodes from your life or experiences. Why don't you, since we only have 7 more minutes or thereabouts, why don't you pick one of those and tell us the tale to entice people to pick up your book?
Well, I guess the biggest one is actually the Coal Cellar, which is what the book is named after. And it came from the first word schoolhouse in Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin. And a lot of stuff happened there. A lot of firsts for me. It was the first time that I actually had a physical attack that was really bad. Like I've been scratched, I've been pulled, I've been pushed. I've seen people pantsed where, they've had their pants. No, I'm serious. They've actually been pantsed.
Wow.
But, that was the first time that I actually felt like something was trying to stop me from breathing.
Oh.
I actually saw my first full body apparition, like not just a shadow person, not just a wisp of smoke, an actual, like I could see the clothing, I could see the hair. The only thing I couldn't see was the face because the face was very see-through. You could see right into the room behind the face or behind the child spirit that I saw. But like I could see it was wearing knickers, like those pants that are like tight at the bottom. They're like corduroys almost. And then the puffier shirt that they'd wear in like the 1800s, like little boys would wear. And like a mousy brown hair, like kind of fussy on top. Mm-hmm. And so that was the first time that I've actually seen a full body apparition. We had some really great electronic voice phenomenon. We did a lot of, I talk a lot about the theories about trying to find rational explanations and why that can't possibly be, this or that. And I show the thought process behind that. Mm-hmm. And I met great people like the Booth brothers who do a lot of paranormal
Sure, we know them very well.
And
just
of
had
course,
one
Ben
of them
Hansen.
on.
Yeah, Ben Hansen was there, and Rosalind Bone was there. And so I met a lot of really great people. I talk about a lot of those really great people, but like I said, the full body apparition, the physical attack, the electronic voice phenomenon, this was just something that was so crazy, so intense that it almost like it just flowed from my fingers as I was writing about it.
Sure. Very, very interesting. Great. You can get the book anywhere. I was looking, and you can get the book everywhere. Literally everywhere. Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Or
local bookstores, always support your local bookstores.
You got a great website.
I do.
Well, why don't you tell the folks about the website? That way they can go directly to you and get a book. And maybe if they're really sweet and they're a really good-looking guy that's single, they could say, hey, want to autograph that for me with your phone number, please?
Well, you could go to Paranormal Ronin. That's RONIN. It's a Japanese word. Paranormalronin.blogspot.com.
Check that out. I'm over there as we speak checking the website out. And you go into detail about everything from Ouija boards to other paranormal talk and hobnob and science. And you also got movie reviews.
I do, but I haven't upgraded them or updated them in such a long time. But I do have some movie reviews. Some of my favorite movies are on there right now. So.
Sure. And so everybody, go to Paranormal Ronin to blogspot.com, and you too can check everything out over there at Andrea's website. Very, very cool. Very, very awesome. Great book. You're going to want to pick that up. I'm going to run right out and get a copy, to be honest with you. I will definitely get a copy of that book. We'll give it a thorough reading, and it's been a pleasure and honor having you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Do you got any parting words for the listening? I mean, as far as the demonic is on the rise, Do you got any words of advice for people as they go into the field, as they dabble into the paranormal? What would your words be?
If you're going to dabble in the paranormal, be serious about it, because the things that you're going to encounter, I mean, some of these things that not only could you get hurt yourself, but if you stir things up and then you just leave the client with the mess, you're going to hurt them as well. So be serious about it and be doing this for the right reasons. Be doing it to push the paranormal research field forward and not behind. Don't be one of these wannabe famous people. Be an actual researcher and do it with the best intentions at heart.
Well said, Andrea. Well said. Andrea Mesich, everybody. And pick up her book, of course, that we were just talking about. And visit the website. But we're coming to the end of another one there, Eric. We're just about time to put a bow on this one. So on behalf on behalf of myself and Mr. Eric Olsen, thank you for listening to this edition of After Hours AM. Love each other, take care of each other, and you know what? Like she said, do it for the right things, but stay away from those darn demons. They're everywhere. Thank you for listening to this edition of After Hours AM, and please remember to like us on Facebook and also follow us over on Twitter.